Since 6 o'clock, we've been talking about the many problems, some of them, I hope, unforeseen, that have been thrown up by a mix of rules on cladding, the paperwork that's required to prove your building is safe, and the attitude of lenders and housing associations and others as a result of all of that. As you've heard, the effect on people's lives has been stark. 0345 6060 973. Very happy to hear what's been happening with you. Florence Eshalomi is the Labour MP for Vauxhall. Thank you for joining us. And I know this is something that concerns many of your constituents. What do they tell you?
Good evening, Eddie. Thank you. And thank you to LBC for covering this really, really important issue. I held a Zoom call with over circa 75 residents last Wednesday. This is such a big issue for me, my constituency. And I've had emails from residents in about 10 different developments across Vauxhall. So it's such a big, big issue. And I think the level of callers and just the complexity of what people are having to go through shows it all. One of the key things coming through loud and clear is who is going to take responsibility for this issue. Is it the building? Is it the building insurance? Is it the developers? Is it the government? Is it the building regulations industry? Is it RICS? Is it building security associates? Everyone seems to be passing a buck. And caught in the middle of all of this are the residents, the tenants, the leaseholders, the shared ownership people who all bought their properties in good faith.
That's the critical thing, isn't it? That people, and we've heard from some of them tonight, but we've heard from them all day here on LBC, people who did no wrong, who did everything they were supposed to do right, followed the rules, got everything in place, made sure things were copper-bottomed, and yet here they are, some of them stuck in worthless homes, and most of them, from everything I've heard, finding that no one will get back to them with the information they need. There is a huge dearth of help and proper advice out there, and as you say, someone taking responsibility, that would be great, wouldn't it?
It would be great. Just today, this morning at 9:45, I received an email from a constituent who owns a one-bedroom leasehold property in Brixton, Morgan. You know, he bought in good faith with his wife. They've got a 5-year-old. They're hoping to move to Wiltshire. You know, I'll be sad to lose them as constituents. But, you know, on the back of COVID, a lot of people are reevaluating their housing situation. He's now stuck because his mortgage lender are refusing to lend for the new purchase. He can't get the ESW1 form. His housing association refused to carry out the necessary work. He's now thinking the fact that the new property they want to buy, that's going to fall through. So it's a case of what is Morgan going to do? He has no option. And it shouldn't be to the case of we are having tenants who've worked so hard and leaseholders who've worked so hard to save up, in some instances, being encouraged by the government to set up and purchase via the Help to Buy scheme. And essentially they're now trapped through no fault of their own. So I think there needs to be a lot more clarity from the government in terms of who's going to take responsibility for this. I think that £1 billion fund that the government set aside for the Building Safety Fund is a drop in the ocean. It's not enough. We have other tenants who are having to pay in excess. In one case, I was quoted £10,000 a week for the 24-hour walk-in watch. That is not sustainable. We are going to see people made bankrupt because of this. And on the back of COVID, where people are already looking at their finances, where they've lost their jobs, their income has gone down, it's totally unfair that all of this should lay on the hands of innocent homeowners who had no fault in this whatsoever.
Thank you for talking to us. Florence Eshalomi, the Labour MP for Vauxhall. That figure quoted there about the amount of money some people are paying to have essentially fire patrols in their building, still worried about what's on the outside of their building. So they're paying thousands of pounds a week, some of them, certainly a month, just to have a 24-hour patrol so that if fire breaks out, someone will alert them. That's the reality. Again, as part of this, that is only now, it seems, being properly exposed. 0345 6060 973. Joanna is in Hammersmith in London. How are you getting on? Hello.
Hi. I am a long-time housing association leaseholder, and my daughter knew all inside about the leasehold, and she always swore, she was a teenager, that, Mum, I'm not going to go with this housing association. It's the biggest con on earth. I'm not going to go with it. But eventually, she was pushed so hard that not being able to get anything, that the only way was to go with the housing association. So she went with the housing association, and now she's stuck with this cladding. So she cannot buy anything. And in my opinion, are you there?
I'm listening.
Yeah, sorry. It's a fault of like one of your previous callers said that a lack of empathy with the housing associations. I think the leases are written not in fairness to the leaseholders. Leaseholders are totally responsible for everything that goes wrong with the property. I'm lucky that I don't have a cladding. I've got a small house, but if anything goes with the wrong, with the roof, with anything, I'm totally responsible.
And Joanna, how is all this affecting your daughter?
Well, she wanted to sell, and she cannot, and she's absolutely terrified. She said, Mum, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. She's absolutely devastated, because we she got it about 3 years ago. In order to that, we had to borrow the money from a friend for her deposit. I was lucky to have some drawings by the famous people, because I was working as a waitress. I was single parent. And some people who were coming to the restaurant drew some pictures, drawings for me, and I sold them. And that was a few bobs for her deposit.
Oh, Joanna.
She's stuck.
You've done everything you can to help.
Yeah, I did. Now she's stuck, totally stuck with it. And I blame this unfairness, because a couple of years ago, I live on the estate that is leaseholders and tenants. And tenants at the beginning didn't have no chance to buying the houses at all. And then Cameron passed some law that the tenants could buy their houses at the discount, huge discount. And leaseholders, as a leaseholders, we don't get any help whatsoever. And all my life, I aspire to get my house to own by myself.
Of course.
And all these adverts that they put on newspapers, put your first step on your ladder and you own your property. It's a con, it's a lie. Because each time you reach that next level, the properties have to be valuated at the open market prices. There's no discount like for council houses whatsoever, nothing, zero. And therefore, you to own your house on the housing association scheme, you have to be a millionaire. And if you are a millionaire, why bother with the housing association? Leaseholders are the milking cows of the housing association, and we don't get any help whatsoever.
Joanna,
and they should.
No, sorry, go on.
Yeah, and they should think something about to help those people. I am beyond their help, because I'm just on the retiring age, and I can't get the end of to buying the house, because I can't get a mortgage. But the youngsters, they should get, if they have to cough up all this money for this cladding, maybe they should have more percentage of owning the properties or whatever. They can't go like that, It's so unfair. It is not, as you say, on and on. Ferrari said this morning, and Sheila said later on, it's not the fault. They saved, they got the help from people.
Yes.
It's not their fault. It's government fault, because they knew about this problem before the Grenfell happened, and they did it, and they ignored it. They actually ignored it, the problem.
Joanne, I'm very glad you were able to pick up the phone and talk about it, because that's what will help contribute to change. So it may not seem like it right now, but the fact you're able to articulate all of that, everything that you and your daughter are going through, and everyone else is doing it, there is a growing pressure for change, and that is coming, in part, from LBC listeners, and thanks to the reporting of our correspondent, Rachel Venables. We're going to carry on this conversation after the news. Here's Tim Humphrey.